On September 9th, 2010, PG&E learned a tragic lesson we can never forget. This gas pipeline ruptured in San Bruno. The explosion and fire killed 8 people. PG&E was convicted of 6 felony charges. PG&E was fined, placed under an outside monitor, given 5 years of probation.
Every year they violated their probation. You would think there would be consequences for that.
I am totally disappointed that the probation is ending. It's just disgusting. You know, I really feel they've shown little to no remorse.
We can never forget what happened in San Bruno. That's why we're working every day to make PG&E the safest energy company in the nation.
Because there's been more fires, more deaths, you would have to say PG&E is performing poorly because they are consistently, annually violating their probation. The stakes really could not be higher. The probation term is running out.
My family was the number one thing, and they took that away.
Almost 1,000 people gathered in Burlingame today to remember 3 members of the Bullis family.
My son, my husband, my mother-in-law, my dog, my life. It's changed my life forever.
Sue Bullis and her daughter weren't home when the rest of their family died. She saw the fireball on TV and rushed to their San Bruno neighborhood. The flames were still burning when she got there. It took PG&E more than an hour and a half to turn the gas off.
I suffered PTSD from it. I can't be by a fire. I can't be by candles. The flame triggers me.
Over the span of 95 minutes, the San Bruno disaster burned so much gas, it contained the amount of energy found in a nuclear bomb.
They actually never were able to identify Will, my son.
Prosecutors didn't charge PG&E with homicide for the 8 people who died in that disaster, but a jury did find PG&E guilty of willfully breaking pipeline safety laws and obstructing the federal investigation with falsified documents. Corporations can't go to prison, so instead of facing 30 years behind bars, PG&E automatically got a lighter sentence, 5 years probation. The first rule of that probation is simple. While on probation, PG&E shall not commit another federal, state, or local crime. On year 1 of probation, PG&E's power lines sparked several fires that burned homes and killed people. There were criminal investigations, but no charges. PG&E paid civil damages. Year 2, PG&E sparked the Camp Fire. PG&E admitted to 85 felonies, including 84 counts of manslaughter.
Family members, loved ones, my grandma, killed by PG&E. They were victims of PG&E.
Year 3, PG&E admits it sparked the Kincaid Fire. Charges are pending. PG&E is fighting them. Year 4, the Zog Fire kills 4 people, including an 8-year-old girl and her mom. PG&E faces 4 new manslaughter charges.
Someone needs to be held accountable. And yeah, no family should have to go through this.
And in PG&E's 5th and final year of probation, the Dixie Fire destroyed more towns, starting just a few miles away from where the Camp Fire did. It has PG&E under criminal investigation yet again.
If it was any other person, they would be in jail. No question about it, they violated their parole, and there would be consequences for an individual. Why can't there be that for a corporation?
How can they do this and still get off probation? Is it even functioning
in this case?
It hasn't functioned as it was intended to function.
Tom Johnson's a former federal prosecutor who's tried corporate defendants.
I don't think the justice system ever envisioned this.
Today, he's a defense attorney and not involved in PG&E's case.
Well, the law actually says 5 years. That's it.
For a person, probation offers a simple choice: comply for 5 years and earn your freedom, or reoffend and go to prison. But remember, corporations can't go to prison.
It really makes it very difficult for the court to get PG&E to comply. And PG&E knows that.
It hasn't sat well with the judge who supervises PG&E's probation, U.S. District Judge William Alsop. He's called PG&E a recalcitrant criminal that deserves to be in prison. PG&E was robbing money from safety to enhance the bottom line. Since the campfire, he says PG&E's safety work is still crappy. C-R-A-P-P-Y. Alsop went so far as to ask federal prosecutors if there's any way he can add more years to PG&E's probation. In so many words, this was the answer they came back with.
They're essentially saying, we don't think you can do it, but if you want to, here's what you would do.
Prosecutors told the judge he may have the power to revoke PG&E's probation and start the 5 years all over again. But there's no binding authority. No law explicitly says he can do it, and there's no precedent in the case law. To a judge, that's a big red flag.
I just think he's without options.
If he tries restarting the probation, PG&E would appeal, and PG&E might very well win.
I think it's very important that we try anyways. And even if it fails, at least the attempt was made. He has that ability to set the case law, or at least attempt to set the case law to where we can hold them accountable. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal scholar, I'm just a guy. It seems to me that this is a perfect example and the perfect time to set the precedent.
PG&E admitted to crimes on probation, crimes that caused people to die by fire. It's exactly what Sue Bullis had hoped the probation would keep them from doing to anyone else after her son, her husband, and her mother-in-law died in the San Bruno explosion.
It's disgusting. It's just disgusting. Do I feel they're rehabilitated? No. Flat out, no. My feeling is that they need to keep on probation.
Hello, Judge William Alsop.
I would ask that PG&E be treated like the criminal enterprise that it is.
We've met a lot of survivors from PG&E's many disasters. Knowing that the judge could try it and lose, they want him to keep PG&E on probation longer.
I would ask Your Honor to
extend PG&E's probation.
What's frustrating to me is the fact that as a law enforcement officer, I saw consequences occur to felons who violated their probation, but PG&E has had very little of those.
Kirk Trossel survived the campfire. He used to be police chief for the city of Chico.
PG&E executives and their board members were able to slaughter 85 plus of the members of our community in Paradise, yet there's no consequence to their actions. It appears to me that PG&E are living a felon's paradise.
Even if it's a long shot, some attorneys do think there's a good case for keeping PG&E on probation.
This isn't just detention at school.
Law professor Kathy Sandoval represents PG&E customers pro bono in the probation.
You have 115 people who have died due to PG&E's actions while on probation. If they were a person, not only would they be in jail, but they would likely be looking at a death sentence. But there's no corporate death sentence.
Sandoval says PG&E is guaranteed to appeal. It's true this is uncharted legal territory, and no law says the judge can add time to PG&E's probation. But she also points out there's no law saying the judge can't. On top of that, the judge would have a good reason.
Is California less safe if PG&E gets off probation?
I fear so.
The federal judge pushed PG&E to make changes after the wildfires. Sandoval points out he's also brought a lot of facts to light that would have stayed secret. As a former CPUC commissioner, she knows the state's investigations of PG&E are secretive and slow.
We don't find out the details for a year and a half or maybe much later.
But Judge Alsop's investigations forced PG&E to be more transparent in a hurry. He made PG&E share its methods for fire safety blackouts. The judge revealed PG&E contractors did mark the tree that fell on the power line that sparked the Zog fire. It's how the families of the 4 people killed know PG&E could have fixed this safety problem, but didn't. The judge even ordered PG&E to release this, the first photo showing us the hook that broke and sparked the campfire.
When and if Judge Alsop goes away and this probation ends, the state of California will be the one supervising PG&E.
It's kind of a terrifying thought.
California's bailout of PG&E, led by Governor Gavin Newsom's office, appalled Steve Bradley.
Clearly, the state level isn't enough. The federal oversight is clearly needed.
When we asked PG&E why it deserves to get off probation, the company pointed us to its end of probation report to the judge. In it, PG&E doesn't claim to be rehabilitated. PG&E says it's made progress, but also that it looks forward to delivering energy safely in the years ahead. That makes no sense to Steve. He says PG&E shouldn't get off probation until it has disaster-free years behind it.
I'd be happy with a couple years, but I don't think 5 years is too much to ask.
As a former firefighter and grandson of a PG&E victim, he says keeping PG&E on probation is life and death.
The rehabilitation of PG&E, it saves lives. Not only civilians, but my friends and family in CAL FIRE. I don't know that PG&E as it exists as we know it can be rehabilitated. They clearly haven't been. Power, electricity, gas can be delivered safely. I just don't know if PG&E can do it on their own without being forced into it.
We are deeply sorry. We failed our customers in San Bruno.
I really feel they've shown little to no remorse.
Sue Bullis didn't believe the court-ordered apology on TV. She has less faith in PG&E now.
Nothing they could do at this point would satisfy me.
You're describing a corporation that's beyond redemption at this point.
I believe so.
It is like a light on, light off. If you are off probation, you're off. When the court supervision is gone, then it's gone. And then PG&E is a corporate entity that's going to act the way it's going to act.